as this is build up for finals, seen both the teams play. If you guys one by one, do you want to have your predictions? Talk a bit about them, because obviously we've seen M&M capitalizing really well on mistakes from XL.
Yep.
Xenex partly doing the same, but snowballing really cleanly as well.
Yeah.
So from these games and from all the other stuff you've seen of them, what's your thoughts on the final? You can obviously take a moment if you want.
If you base it on what we see here in both of these games, I know M&M. I guess you could consider XL possibly slightly harder opposition than a Bulldog with a sub or whatever. But in terms of tactically, in terms of strategically, in terms of draft, I think Xenex have an advantage in what we see. But I think there's more things to consider though than just the state of their ability to play League of Legends at this point when you're playing on stage, when you're playing a LAN and things like that. So, for instance, I don't think that, from what I know, Xenex have a huge amount of experience with regards to LAN play or being on stage or being in front of a crowd or
I mean, all the M&M people do now, don't they?
All of that kind of stuff. Whereas M&M have been in pretty much every single League of Legends UK final in the last 18 months or something. So on that front, it's a massive edge. They know exactly what to expect. They know it's not going to bother them in the slightest. Whereas someone like Backlund, for instance, who's arguably been the best player on Xenex all split and has beat every single mid laner he's come up against, this is his first competitive split. And who knows how well he's going to do. He could perform really well and out of his socks, but equally he could just completely shut down. So that is something to consider, I think, when you're considering like how well the teams are up against each other. But we don't know any of that. So based off like the ability to play League of Legends or the understanding of the map, the understanding of current meta, I give Xenex the edge. But equally, if they're nervous and they do make these mistakes, we've seen M&M that can punish like massively. And I think in terms of a matchup, I know everybody will be barking on about this all weekend, but Backlund versus Larson is going to be very pivotal on how the series has gone. Which one can get mid pressure and use that best is going to probably win the game, win the series for either team. And it's actually going to be really interesting because when Xenex and M&M met in the regular split or in the group stages or whatever we call it, Larson wasn't playing for M&M. It was Charlie T, I believe. So Backlund's actually never played against Larson in a series or at all, outside of solo queue probably. So that is something again that's going to be really interesting to watch. So I think Xenex, if they play like they have offline, like they have online, offline, then they've got a really good chance, and it'd be a really good series.
Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I think it is going to be a great series, actually. I agree with pretty much everything Fern said. I think that the Backlund versus Larson matchup is going to be the most important one. And I think in the game versus Bulldog that we just saw, we did see him like caught out of position a couple of times. Like he had a couple of deaths which he definitely shouldn't have had against a team that like wasn't playing at its best or anything like that. And like, you know, this is first place versus fifth place here rather than like second place versus third place. So I think there is the potential for him to get caught out a few times in that matchup. And the thing that we also saw in the M&M game was that they are a team that are very good at pulling the trigger on your mistakes like that. And whereas Bulldog wasn't able to capitalize on some of these mistakes, M&M will, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I do agree with Fern that Xenex has shown that they've got really clean macro. Like most of it is like they're ticking the boxes, you know. They're playing by the book, which I really like. So personally, I hope Xenex wins because I would like to see someone else win, and I'd like to see kind of a team of people with just solid macro win, actually, rather than win lane, win game, stomp people because you're like high challengers.
Yeah.
But you also have to say that M&M didn't scrim for most of this split. And I know they're practicing now, so we may see a very different M&M turn up on Sunday than we've seen so far.
Okay.
I also don't think. Well, I know Xenex especially haven't had any coaching this split at all, right? Until this run up to finals, which I believe they got Darukin or Greasy.Delete from,
yeah.
who had been working with XL for the majority of the split in the last couple of weeks. So, and from what I've seen in scrim channels and from what I've heard, Xenex have been scrimming double blocks a lot of the time, just as much as like the Spanish teams and things. So hopefully both teams are really at their best when they come into the final, and I think overall it'll be really interesting from both sides. But what I don't want to see is just one team completely not turn up and it just be a clean 3-0 for one team and it not really be that
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, that'd be super
Uh,
boring.
I mean,
I'd
that
much
seems
rather
pretty
see.
unlikely to me.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely does.
Typically.
Unless there's some kind of real issue with one of the teams or something goes drastically wrong. I don't think. I think, but it's unlikely that there should be just a clean 3-0. I don't think. I don't think that either team will buckle if they go a game or two behind either. I don't think the teams are necessarily like that. So someone like Prospera, for instance, is someone who's very experienced in the scene and has been in those situations lots of times and often been on the losing end actually quite a lot. So I don't think necessarily if either team goes one or even two games down that they'll just like concede the games, which can often sometimes happen.
So what is it? 7.4 or 7.5?
I believe it'll be on live patch, right? So 7.5. I'm not
Well,
entirely
is
sure.
it live?
I mean,
or
it could be on
it's gotta
tournament client.
It's got to be tournament, right? Otherwise, it's not going to be five bands each.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
I
sure.
suppose so. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. So, but I mean, does tournaments got to go to 7.5 pretty soon?
Well,
It was played on 7.5 today in EULCS, so
Yeah.
it should be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it still will be 7.5 then. So
yeah.
do you think? I mean, obviously, because it's just the one game final rather than just like semis and then a final. Do you think there's opportunity for sort of slightly strange picks to come out? Because obviously, the new mastery and the change of warlords can actually have quite an impact on what certain champs we could see. Do you think there's any chance of that? And do you have any ideas of stuff that might be played?
I think
just as an example, I think Olaf in the jungle just got a massive buff from that.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Because like there was nothing that he was really strong at, and now, especially in team fights, if you get a queue across everyone and everyone's getting
we heal
that new whatever it's called,
Stoneborn
Yeah,
pact.
yeah.
Stoneborn, that's just like instantly makes him so much more viable and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
There's another good reason that we might see Olaf as well, which is that since the introduction of this patch, Gragas has gone massively up in terms of priority because he's a really good flex pick and because he's pretty solid in the jungle nowadays. And Olaf has a fantastic matchup into Gragas, so we may see those. I think we'll also probably see the support pool get changed up a lot because of the new mastery as well. Like I said, we're seeing a lot more Braum, a lot more Tom Kench, stuff like that coming back into the mix.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, and Callista. I want to see Callista.
So Callista and Olaf, is those the biggest ones?
I think compared to what you've seen, it's not necessarily different from what you're seeing in pro play right now, but it'll be a big difference on when you last saw these teams play. Like
definitely.
these games that we just watched, right, on 7.3.
Yeah.
There'll be more Rumble. There'll be more Renekton, maybe even some Kled.
Oh yeah, we like Kled.
There's Gragas flexes on blue side. Quite a lot of Gragas flexes right now. Gragas is quite good into some of the meta junglers. It's also a very good top lane too. It's one of the top 2 tanks in top lane, which it holds a lot of viability. But other than that, I'm not sure. You'll see probably less LeBlanc, although there is still some around. Some people are still making it work in certain ways. But I don't think it's necessarily good. You'll probably see some more Ari.
I think we'll see a lot more Lulu as well.
Yeah,
And,
huge amount of Lulu
probably-
prioritization.
Yeah, probably less Syndra priority because Vladimir has risen back to power.
Yeah.
And we might even see like some Azir and some Fizz. I've heard that Fizz is really strong right now, and I think Backland's a pretty solid assassin player. So